the little girl Lisa dreamed of a dog. With childish envy, she looked at the happy owners strolling, playing, riding in cars with their four-legged pets. "Oh, look, doggy." The girl screamed with delight and stared in fascination at the picture that was the sweetest to her childish heart. And no matter what Lisa talked about, she always ended up with the same thing: "Give me a dog, well, at least the tiniest one, just so that it is mine." Looking into the eyes of her parents, the girl begged, pleadingly folding her small hands. Finally, the long-awaited birthday and the happiest day in little Lisa's life has arrived. A well-dressed, beautifully coiffed girl received guests. Accepting the gifts, she looked at her parents with concentration and confusion. She waited. The parents, furtively, anxiously looked at the clock. When all the guests were gathered, and it was time for a delicious feast, Dad's phone rang. After answering briefly, Dad took his daughter's hand. "Lisa, your friend has come to meet you, let's go meet him," said her father, smiling, and led her into the hallway, followed by her mother. The excited girl saw an unfamiliar man. After a short greeting, the stranger took out a small miracle from a soft handbag. Yes. It was a puppy, a small fat man the color of dark chocolate, with short shiny fur and a pink bow around his neck. Lisa, holding her breath, reverently accepted this most long-awaited and expensive gift. "Oh, a bow." "What a bow," that's all the girl could say, kissing her treasure. Tears of joy and happiness dripped from the baby's eyes. "He's mine," Lisa said decisively, and ran off to her room with a little fat man in her arms. The parents hardly persuaded the birthday girl to sit at the table with the guests she invited. The girl sat down in a chair, putting the puppy on her lap. Those around her no longer existed for her. Now her presence here has become just an act of politeness. Lisa's entire attention was focused on her long-awaited gift. Friends asked for permission to pet the puppy, but were invariably refused. No, the girl was not greedy, she was just protecting her treasure, fearing that any action by someone else's hands could harm the puppy. So a small Staffordshire Terrier, Bantic, Lisa's happiness, settled in their house. Lisa didn't want to hear about another name for her friend. They grew up together. Do you know what can't be in the world? There can be no Lisa in the world without a bow, and a bow without Lisa. A faithful friend accompanied his little mistress to kindergarten, proudly walking on a leash held by the strong male hand of Dad and the childish hand of Lisa. In the evening, the bow went to meet his little mistress, each time rejoicing at her, as after a long separation. "Together we went for a walk to the dog playground, played, went on vacation outside the city, to visit my grandparents, during my parents' summer vacations at sea. We also went to classes with a dog handler together." Bao was a very capable student, an experienced dog handler especially noted this from the first lesson. Nimble and quick-witted, with an excellent memory, like all terriers, he grasped everything on the fly and even ahead of time. The whole family was proud of their "sweet chocolate," as Lisa affectionately called the Bao. Time was running out, our inseparable friends were growing up. Lisa learned to read, and the preparation for school began. Bao, under the guidance of an experienced dog handler, mastered all the dog's wisdom of behavior perfectly. He turned into a muscular, powerful, handsome man, catching every word, every look of his masters. Smart, handsome, powerful, self-sufficient, balanced, fanatically devoted to his family, the Bao won the hearts of relatives, friends, neighbors, acquaintances, and everyone who knew him. It's time for the hottest summer days. During the velvet season, the family was going to the sea, but for now, next weekend, a trip to a large reservoir near Moscow was planned, which for some reason has also been called the sea for a long time. We decided, gathered, sat down, let's go. Great mood, wonderful weather. Life was a success, Bowie thought early in the morning, sitting in the car next to his little mistress's child seat. Bao knew exactly where they were going, he remembered this road from previous trips. The dog was very fond of swimming and sat impatiently shifting from paw to paw, in anticipation of long swims in the warm clear water of a large reservoir. And there will also be walks in the forest, delicious food around a campfire and an overnight stay in a tent. How great it is that we all exist and how wonderful the world is, thought Bao. Luck was with them in everything that day. We drove quickly. Their favorite place near the forest, with a clearing on a high sandy shore, was free. And in general, there were surprisingly few people. The nearest tents were visible behind the thickets at least 300 meters from their camp. We settled in, put up our big, cozy tent, built a fire, boiled delicious sausages, boiled tea, had a fun breakfast and ran for a swim. We went down a steep sandy path down to the water. Bantik and Lisa ran ahead and plopped into the water with acceleration. The water was warm, like fresh milk. We swam for a long time. Finally, Lisa and the Bao were persuaded to get out of the water. We decided to sunbathe a little and start cooking lunch. Dad was going to go fishing a little, and suddenly he would be able to catch fish, like last time, and boil a pot of delicious fish soup, over a campfire, with smoke. Yummy! He quickly pumped up his big rubber boat and, taking the tackle with the bait prepared in advance, was ready to go to the water. The Bao looked pleadingly at Lisa, then at Dad and whined softly. "All right, go, just be careful on the water, don't swim too far," Lisa graciously allowed in the tone of an adult, sophisticated lady. Mom smiled and nodded at the impatiently dancing Bao. The dog joyfully started running after his master, because he also loved fish soup, and in these happy moments he generally loved the whole world. Lisa was sunbathing on a soft blanket. She brought her mother's white bag from the car, into which she hastily stuffed interesting children's magazines and looked at the new issue. She often read the stories she particularly liked from her magazines to her most grateful listener, Bantik. Mom was sitting in a folding chair. She dozed off in the sun, taking a break from her daily chores and sunbathing at the same time. Lisa did not see how two men came out of the forest and, cautiously looking around, slowly headed in their direction. One of them was holding a baseball bat. Engrossed in reading, she was laughing at the antics of the characters in the story when someone blocked her sun. Looking up from the magazine, she saw two men. There was a scary guy standing right in front of them with his mom, with a bat in his hand. He was small, square, with an earthy gray face, unshaven cheeks and small, deep-set, prickly eyes. Behind him stood a young guy, tall, very thin, pale as snow, hiding his long hands in his pockets. His skinny body was visibly shaking, as if he was shivering in such heat. Both were dressed in dirty, torn clothes. Mom wanted to jump out of the chair, but the square pushed her back. "Give me the money. Take off the chain and earrings. Yes, look at me, no noise, otherwise," he said through his teeth, threatening with a bat. With trembling, unruly hands, Mom tried to undo the tight locks on her gold earrings. "I'll give it all, don't scare the child, please," she kept saying. Lisa, looking at what was happening with fear, automatically clutched her mother's bag to herself. "Lisa, give me the bag," Mom ordered. "No. It's Mom's." Trembling with fear, the girl almost shouted into the hated face of the terrible uncle. "Come on, hurry up, what are you doing there?" the young man urged. The scary man bent down to Lisa and pulled the bag towards him with such force that the girl fell flat at his feet. Lisa's mom jumped out of the chair with force, but the young guy pushed her back again so that the chair tipped over to the ground. The young man, swearing dirty, wanted to tear off the fallen woman's gold jewelry. The fishermen swam along the shore at a decent distance from their camp. The Bao was sitting with the owner in a boat gently rocking on the water and dozing. Suddenly he became alert, jumped up, listened for a second, jumped into the water and quickly swam to the high shore, hiding everything that was happening on it. "Bao, come to me." "Where to?" "Back." The owner shouted. The dog did not obey. Then the man was also overcome with excitement. He quickly sank to the shore. Quickly reaching the shore, the Bao, as if on wings, literally soared up and rushed towards their camp. Lisa saw him first. As if they had agreed in advance, she and her mother screamed shrilly. The Bao ran faster than the wind, in a halo of splashes of water flying from the wet ground and sparkling in the sun. He saw a man with a terrible, distorted face, throw a bag to the second and swing his terrible weapon at his defenseless mistress. The Bao perfectly mastered the protective guard service. A second later, the attacker dropped the bat from his composted hand in several places, howled in pain, rolling on the ground. Square, let's go. Faster. The second one shouted at this time, quickly poked the dog in the side with a sharp knife clenched in his free hand, and rushed to run with the bag towards the forest. Lisa's dad ran up, young people from the tents of the neighboring camp ran to the noise, they pinned down a big guy with a bat. The Bao got up and ran heavily after the second one, with a bag. He had to catch up with him. In a fever, the Bao did not feel pain, but something hot, dreary prevented him from running, there, in his side. The Bao gave itself internal commands. Catch up. Go ahead. You won't leave. Be patient. A little more. Here he is. The Bao was found by a thin bright scarlet stripe running through the grass after it. He was lying on his mistress's bag, which suddenly turned red. The second attacker was lying next to him. Panting with suddenly fallen sides, the dog did not let him move, warning him with a menacing dull growl. When he saw the help, he fell on his side and lay still. They were waiting for the police. The ambulance was busy and could only arrive in an hour. Leaving their data to the guys who helped from the neighboring camp, throwing their belongings in tent, wrapping a Bao in a blanket, they rushed to the veterinary clinic. They drove, violating everything that is possible and what is not. Luck, somewhat belatedly, continued to haunt them that day. The surgeon was on the spot. An anesthesiologist was on site 5 minutes later. An urgent, complicated operation followed. Needless to say, the owners of the brave Bao experienced it. How the clinic's medical staff felt after learning the dog's story. When a little tearful girl, looking with pleading and hope into the eyes of each of them, asked, "Won't the Bao die?" They have done everything possible. The Bao survived, but remained disabled until the end of his days. A sweet, devoted Bao, he could no longer run and jump so fast on the dog playground, swim for a long time and tirelessly play with his beloved Lisa. Only from this did he become even more beloved and dearer to his family. A devoted dog's heart, there is no equal to it.